But they must know that their history and the history of the enemy are in antagonistic relationships to each other. They must know that the interest is not the same. The capitalist system, which in America controls our history, in presenting it to us so confuses us that we have contradictions which really are amazing. As an ethnic group in this country, we love America more than any other ethnic group. We are more faithful to America than any other ethnic group. As an ethnic group in America, we're more abused by America than any other ethnic group. The contradictions are there for all to see. Of course, I imagine some think that these contradictions could be resolved by thinking that we have the same interest and we should keep trying our best to be Americans. The enemy itself will come to confuse us by letting us think that most of us want to be Americans. We say this is not the truth. The history of Pan-Afrikanism comes to prove it. Of course, we must let you know that we know our people do not know the history of Pan-Afrikanism. We know this. And this is to be properly understood. Again, it only reflects how oppressed we are. One thing we know, all societies start off on small aggregates and grow to larger aggregates. They start from the family, go to the clan, to the tribe, to the nation, to the continent. This process is an evolutionary process. Even in Europe, with all the tribal wars they have had, they speak of European economic community, they speak of European security, they speak of the European economic market, they speak of a continental European coming together. We might add that when they use this word European, they don't isolate it to the continent of Europe, as America and Canada are oftentimes included in these European associations. Africa herself began this process just like everyone else, this evolutionary process, going from smaller to larger kingdoms, going to larger nations until itself, on an evolutionary process, would have developed to a continental-wide basis. This evolutionary movement of Africa, which is universal for all people, was interrupted by invasions and aggressions into Africa. The result of these invasions and aggressions into Africa has used and diverted the energies and resources of Africa to every other cause except this cause of the evolutionary involvement of Africa to a continental-wide unity. We must understand then that this was an evolutionary process. We must look and see what interrupted and disrupted this evolutionary process. It was interrupted and disrupted by colonialism and slavery. Thus, when we speak of Pan-Afrikanism, in the very first instance, we speak of a system, we speak of an objective, we speak of a movement that is anti-exploitative, because it comes as a response to exploitation. So as it comes as a response to exploitation, it must be anti-exploitative in every aspect. When you come to fight an enemy, you must disassociate yourself from every aspect of the enemy. If you do not do that, the enemy will lure you back to his side. Certainly examples are to be found everywhere. This is why Malcolm X says revolution is total. It knows no compromise. It overturns everything in its path. When you come to fight an enemy, if you like the way how the enemy looks, the enemy will finish you. When you come to fight an enemy, if you like the way the enemy talks, the enemy will finish you. If you come to fight an enemy, and in any way whatsoever you are intoxicated with any aspect of the enemy, you will never make a thorough fight of the enemy. When you come to fight an enemy, you must in every aspect of life be in total opposition to the enemy. We said Pan-Afrikanism came as a response of exploitative systems. Not only must Pan-Afrikanism itself be against exploitation, but it itself must be anti-exploitation in its very nature. That is to say that not here are we becoming Pan-Africanists to throw out those palm trees that came to interrupt Africa so we too can go on exploiting other Africans. No. In every aspect we must be in total opposition to the enemy. Thus we can see the necessity for Pan-Africanism. Of course, people struggle all the time for history, consciously or unconsciously, but they struggle. We are a great people to give an example of unconscious struggle because that's what we've been doing all our life. We have never consciously organized ourselves for struggle.